Aren't you sleeping yet? It's time for bed, honey.
Dad, I can't sleep. Can you tell me a bedtime story?
All right. What do you want to hear?
Something about an adventure.
I think I know just the thing. When I was your age, my biggest dream was to follow my Uncle Fred on one of his adventures around the world. One day, he disappeared. I stepped into the lobby of my uncle's house. It lay just across the hill from where I lived with my mother, your grandmother. She had tried to keep me from going, but I wanted to see if Fred was home yet from his latest adventure. My uncle used to send me postcards from his long journeys. Greetings from Nepal, Galapagos, Kilimanjaro. I had visited Uncle Fred's house countless of times. But in the locker, which usually was closed, I found something I hadn't seen before. It was an adventure suit. It resembled the one that Fred used, but smaller in size. Curiosity got the better of me, and I tried it on. It fit like it had been custom made for me. The most mysterious room of my uncle's house was the observatory. There he kept his newest experiments, and right now it held a pad used for disposing of garbage. I landed with a crash, but thanks to the suit I wasn't hurt. I had no idea where the pad had taken me, but back then I didn't care so much about where I was going or how I would get home. The suit protected me from falls on the ground, but not in water. I couldn't swim with this thing on. Best be careful. I was sure that someone had been here before me. Someone had built these bridges and carved these symbols, but who? Where were they now? found activated the suit's grappling device when I picked it up. It must have been left here by my uncle. The grappling device left a sort of symbol everywhere I grappled. I noticed similar symbols already there in the cave, and I was getting more and more certain that this place was where Fred had gone. The adventure suit was fantastic. By combining a power leap with a grapple, I could fly long distances through the air at great speed.
Did you ever see any of Fred's experiments yourself?
Yes, I actually helped him collect samples for his research sometimes.
To learn about them?
That's right. We found all sorts of things. One time, we went to the forest and found a small pool of water that was full of eggs.
Eggs? Were there chickens in the forest?
No, not chicken eggs. These were small and jelly-like. Hundreds of them. Fred told me that they were frog eggs. He was in for a surprise, though. Guess what happened?
What? What happened?
Well, we took some eggs back home, and one day, Fred woke up with bites all over his body. Turns out, it wasn't frog eggs after all. It was mosquito eggs.
Ah, poor Fred.
I know. He did find real frog eggs eventually. He told me that they were very, very special, but I don't know what happened to them. These blue lights. Did Fred put them here? Or was somebody else here as well?
Hello, who are you? You're not from here. Wow, you look just like Fred, but smaller and with less hair on your face.
She knew Fred. I told her that he was my uncle and that I was looking for him.
What's an uncle?
I said that that I had known him all my life.
Really? Me too. I'll help you find him. I'm Madeline. The others call me Mad Maddie sometimes. I don't know why really, but you can call me Maddie. You've never been to the village, right? Let's meet over there in the square. I'll show you around. I bet you can get there easily with your suit thing. So, I'll see you there.
I couldn't believe it. An underground village inhabited by frog people, or more like salamanders. Either way, they walked like humans, they talked like humans. How was that possible?
Welcome to my village. This is the town square, and that over there is Fred's tent. I haven't seen him in a few days, though. Maybe our elder Samuel knows where he is. He knows a lot of stuff. Mostly boring stuff, if you ask me, but it's worth a try. Before asking him, though, you should check out the village. It's not so bad, unless you have to stay for too long. When you're done, go to the island with the windmill, and you'll see Samuel's cove from there. I'll go on ahead and tell him that you're coming. He's not much for surprises. Later!
I thanked Madeline and agreed to meet her later. It was strange. How could I talk to someone who was not even human and still feel like it was perfectly normal? It looked like most of the shacks in the village were built out of trash. Trash from our world. It was, after all, a garbage disposal pad that took me here.
For how long had Fred been gone?
I'm not sure. A couple of months, I think. Less than half a year for sure. I remembered hiking with him the summer before, but when I counted the days in his journals and from when I last saw him, it didn't make sense. Maddie said that she had known him all her life. Maybe she meant it figuratively.
Figure...
Like she didn't really mean it. Like when you say you'll die if you don't get a puppy for your birthday.
That's true, though.
I'm sorry. Of course it is.
A stranger in our halls. Welcome. Our name is Samuel, and we will do our best to assist you. Please tell us what brings you here.
I told him that I was looking for my Uncle Fred.
We should help. Do you know where he is?
Fred left us without a word. If you aspire to find him, we can share with you a sacred crystal, a power core. Fred used their kind to power his suit. You can have it if you return our Fred to us.
The crystal? Sweet!
Madeline, that was inappropriate. Your help will not be necessary. The crystal is not for you to have.
What? I want to help finding Fred. Why couldn't I?
Please, Madeline, that is impossible. None of us may enter the chasms. It is too dangerous.
What's to... danger? If Fred can do it, so can I.
I say this for your own protection, Madeline. You are forbidden from entering the chasms.
Just because you're afraid of what's outside the village doesn't mean I am. I'm nothing like you. I'll never be.
We apologize. It is true that we want to keep her safe, but she does not understand. Behind us is the power core. Take it and go into the chasms. Find Fred, and if you see Madeline, take care of her. Be safe.
I felt a little uneasy about moving on into the chasms. If it was too dangerous for Maddie, would it be safe enough for me? Darkness swept over me as I left the glittering lights in the village behind me and headed for the ominous shadows of the chasms. As I entered the chasms, it struck me how much darker it was in there. The shadows were black as ink, and although I tried not to be afraid, I couldn't help but shiver. Was it the darkness that frightened the villagers as well, or was it something else? Maddie?
Hi, I'm glad you came. Sorry about back there. I just get so frustrated. They cling so desperately to what they know, won't ever do anything new. It feels better when Fred is around, but...
I told Madeline I didn't mind, and I asked her what she was doing with the book.
Oh, this? These writings? It's like a secret language. They are done by people who left the village long ago. They're called the Strays, but no one wants to talk about them. I started translating their language with help from a stray book that Fred found. This one says, "Don't move when the eye is open," I think. I wonder what it means. Whatever. We should get going. Why don't you take me on your back? It'll be faster if you carry me. I used to piggyback on Fred all the time. Turn around and I'll hop up. You're not going to drop me, right? Okay, let's go.
Madeline climbed up on my back, and with the suit on, I could barely feel the extra weight. The winding, narrow tunnels felt like they were closing in on me. They were oddly long and twisting, almost like someone or something had dug them out. With Maddie on my back, I had to be careful not to bump her head on the ceiling.
Farewell, old life. Let us start anew. The Strays were ordinary people living in the village long ago. They disagreed with the old traditions and left to form their own village, or they were thrown out for misbehaving. The stories differ a bit. Seemingly bottomless pits loomed below us, everywhere in the cave. The further we got, the more I felt like what faint light existed down there was getting fainter. I was really glad that I wasn't alone. Beware. Of what?
What was that? I had never heard a creature sounding as terrifying, and I imagined it wouldn't be happy about visitors.
See that glowing plant over there? I bet something will happen if you use your grapple on it. Told you so. It is really dark down there. You're not scared, are you? 'Cause I'm not. Fred has been with my people since the first villager was born. He helped us build the village, taught us how to speak, and helps us with everything. He taught me how to read and write as well. That's how I could learn to read the writing on the walls. Back! Get back! Whoa! Dude! I think I figured out what that writing was going on about. Maybe we shouldn't charge right out in front of that thing. Remember what it said. Don't move when the eye is open. We did it! You're awesome. I knew you had it in you.
That was close. We had made it through, and I felt like nothing could stand in our way of finding Fred.